Quick reply from the Commission, and we'll continue with other speakers.
I'm sure you'll understand if I don't start my little contribution by congratulating you. It's something that I find very difficult to do to any Commissioner, but nothing personal there. I want to talk mainly about sow stalls, because of the 27 Member States in the European Union, only 16 say that they are compliant or will be compliant by D-Day. The question the Commission must discover the answer to is how many producers in these countries will be compliant by virtue of having quitted the industry, because a significant figure here will have a big effect on production levels. Also, one has to ask, are some of these countries simply telling the Commission what it wants to hear and trying to buy time? As far as the remaining 11 are concerned, I think it's disgraceful that they will not even pretend to be compliant, or in some cases even discuss the issue at all. How can compliant British pig farmers be expected to compete in this so-called common market? It is essential that the Commission gets a grip on this situation, because we can easily find ourselves in the position of importing large quantities of low-welfare pig meat from non-EU countries, who will view existing tariff barriers as a hurdle that they can easily jump. As I speak, Spain is now importing battery-caged eggs from Mexico as a result of an EU ban on battery cages in the European Union. I urge the Commission to learn from past errors. On animal transport, in my opinion, there is enough legislation here. It simply needs to be enforced. I'd just like to have a dig at Martin Häusling while I've got the chance. He says that varieties are disappearing. No varieties disappear, Martin. I can promise you the breeders always maintain stock, because they never know when they will need any particular genetic property again. Thank you.
On animal welfare, to Mr. Lyon, I totally agree, and again this was raised by many of you, that we have to concentrate on enforcement and on scientific base. Okay, next week I think I'm going to receive 1 million signatures about this 8-hour transit time. I can understand the preoccupations, I can understand the abuse that does happen. However, I think we should be all together to fight the abuse. And as I've said in my speech, my concern is now to concentrate and to see how we can best enforce the transport issues. Okay? So if we have regulations, and today there is technology, we can use present technology to really ensure that the regulations that we have are enforced. The example I bring is that today on my iPad here, I can really trace every single flight that is in the air around the world. So we can really, technologically, really trace all the transport that's happening on animals, and we can inbuild our regulations into a system, and then if there's anybody flaunting the system, it can be flagged very, very, very easily. So there is a solution. And however, the solution, again, I must here press that the solution cannot be only through us, through you, Parliament, and we, the Commission, because it has to be also a member state acceptance that there should be a sort of a centralised system of this control, because it is a cross-border issue and situation as well. On the source, I completely agree with you, and we will be very willing to coordinate and cooperate with retailers who would be helping us to ensure that there is implementation. In fact, I would like to inform you that we already had a conference organised with stakeholders, including retailers and manufacturers, in this regard, because we feel that they can help quite a lot on the ground to ensure that there is enforcement of this regulation. Whatever we can do, we are doing as a Commission. Our competence, we are using to the full. And I believe that the positions that we took in the laying hens issue, where we were very strong with member states, to give you an example, when we insisted that there will be no extension of the deadline, and we maintained that position, this time around on the sows, they are not even coming to ask for deadlines. And I know for extension of deadlines, because they know there will not be any extension of deadlines. And in fact, I know that they are concentrating now much more on compliance, and this is what we want. In fact, even on the funding issues, we know sometimes it costs money. We are encouraging them also to use structural funds and to use the funds that are available also to go through this process of change to comply. As far as the laying hens issue, we are having a monthly meeting with the national experts, and the position as is stated now is that there will be full compliance by the end of the year. I'm hoping that this will be the case, but this is what we are getting from member states. Whether this is telling us what we want to hear or whether it is the truth, naturally, you know, I cannot really say. I cannot read people's minds. But I believe and I do trust the professionalism and seriousness of member states, because finally, you know, in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, if they are lying to us, they will be caught out. And it's a question of national credibility. So I am sure that they are really trying to comply, and the information they are passing to us is the correct information. I completely agree with Mr. Nicholson about the transport issue, that we have to be scientific, and that this blaming Europe is a European sports, I think. I mean, everybody blames Europe about everything. But again, we're here, we assume our responsibilities, we take our decisions, even we don't come up to standards to some of you, but finally, we do our best, and we are trying to push these issues to comply with the concerns that are expressed, especially through you, representing the people, representing the farmers, representing the consumers, representing environmentalists. We are interested to address everybody's concern and try naturally to find a workable compromise. About Mr. Hausling's GMO positions, naturally there will be conciliation, and I hope that we will be finding common ground between Council and Parliament on what the solution, a practical solution, could be. And I hope that then we will be in a position to push for a reasonable solution. As when Parliament came up with their position, we said that we agreed with most of the positions that was held by Parliament, and we backed them up. Okay? Now Council is coming with proposals that has some new elements, and this is something that needs to be discussed even with the committees and with Parliament. On cloning, my position is, as I promised during the novel food discussions that we had, that I will come up with a completely separate, self-standing proposition on cloning that will be separate from the novel food. I have been going to the ENVI committee and telling them how they want to proceed. I don't want to preempt the issue. My suggestion and my wish, if I can say it, is to proceed immediately with novel foods, except for cloning. Take cloning out of the novel food, except maybe for some safeguards that we have to make on a temporary basis, and then wait for the impact assessment that is already underway on the cloning directive, and our proposal on the cloning directive, which we will then discuss in full. But I agree completely with you that we cannot go for another inconclusive process. And therefore, I would like to know that if I go for novel food today, it's going to be an initiative that's going to be successful. However, naturally, it's up to Parliament, and I say, you know, I defer to their decisions, to tell you the truth, because unless I have the green light from Parliament, then if not, then we have to move together with two separate directives when they come out, when we are finished in about a year's time. Okay? On antibiotics in farming, I agree with you also here. It's totally abusive to use antibiotics in this manner. If you followed what we have said when we announced our communication on antimicrobial resistance, this was one of the issues that we were addressing. I have stated, and I've stated this publicly many times, that the problem with antibiotic resistance is the misuse in the human area and the misuse in the veterinary medicines. And there are issues that we have to address on both these issues. And what you've said, that 90%, is scandalous, to tell you the truth. 90% of animals are treated with antibiotics twice a year. It is an abusive practice. We have to remind that we have regulations in Europe already standing that when these type of medicines are applied to our farming animals, a veterinary must be present in this application and must be approving these applications. Is this happening in these cases? So this is something that we must do. I think that as far as Mr. Agnew is concerned, I've replied also to his concerns through the vein of my other replies. Thank you.